Live from Johnny's Tavern in West Lawrence, this is Hawk Talk with Bill Self on the Jayhawks Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. In the next hour, Coach Self will break down your Jayhawks and take your questions at 1-800-845-HAWK. That's 1-800-845-HAWK. Hawk Talk with Bill Self is presented by Boulevard Brewing Company, local since 1989. Capital Federal Savings, celebrating 125 years. By Johnny's Tavern, serving up tradition since 1953 in the Lawrence and Kansas City area. And by Intrust Bank, proud supporter of Kansas athletics. Now, alongside Coach Self, here's your host, the voice of the Jayhawks, Brian Haney.
Good evening and welcome into Hawk Talk, coming at you live tonight from Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence, 6th and Wakarusa here in the River City. Come on down and join us for the next hour. We'll be talking all things Kansas Jayhawk basketball and talking about a big win in the Dillon Sunflower Showdown Series. How about them Jayhawks, everybody? We are so spoiled as Kansas fans. That was our 197th win in the Dillon Sunflower Showdown Series. That is the most wins ever by one D1 opponent over the other. So how about them apples? Give it up for Bill Self and the Jayhawks, everybody. A 103-game edge in the all-time series, and it was great to see Kansas bounce back after running into a buzzsaw on Saturday down in Lubbock to come back at 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning on Sunday and yet get dialed in and focused for a must-win Monday was great to see. And such a great defensive effort by Bill Self's Jayhawks, holding K-State to just 32% shooting, holding them below 50 points, and winning this one comfortably. So many great individual contributions that we'll have to break down and great collective contributions that we hope put this team on a path to not only stay in the hunt for 15 straight, which we all care so much about, but also play their best basketball as we head into the postseason with the Big 12 tournament right around the corner and, of course, Selection Sunday and the NCAA tournament to follow. Here's how you can interact with the show tonight. We'll take your call-in questions at 1-800-845-HAWK. That's 1-800-845-4295. You can also submit questions and comments for Coach anytime during the week online at KUathletics.com or Facebook and Twitter. You can text the show if you prefer to do that. Our text line is 234-25-HAWKS, plural. 234-25-HAWKS. If you'd like to text in a comment for Coach or a question, we'll get to as many of those as we can. And as always, we always give the preferential treatment to the folks in-house because we love you so much. Another beautiful crowd out here tonight at Johnny's Tavern, our brand new party room, and they've opened up the garage doors now, and they've got the brand new bar set up to my right. Looks fabulous. Big thanks to Rick and Jason and everybody out here at Johnny's Tavern for making us feel at home all season long, and we look forward to a great partnership heading into the future with these guys. But for the folks that are with us tonight, if you have the best in-house audience question, you see these pewter Jayhawk trophies we've got up front if you're watching on TV. We've got a slightly smaller version. It's valued at $150 from iconartworks.com. This would make a great gift or look awesome on the mantle, the man cave, the she shed, whatever you got going for you to celebrate your Jayhawks. We're going to send you home with one of those tonight for our top in-house audience questions. So you want to get those in. And I believe we've got, what, Steve, 2 episodes left after tonight or 3? 2? We're down to 2 more after tonight. So if you couldn't join us tonight, come on down. We'll be with you again next Wednesday and one more after that to preview the postseason. But it's been a great 20-episode run of Bill Self's Hawk Talk. And a new Hawk Talk show involving our head hawk, Jeff Long, comes your way on Thursday night, by the way. That'll be at Old Chicago at 7 o'clock. We'll have 5 episodes over the next 5 months with Jeff Long Hawk Talks. You'll have to make some arrangements for that, 7 o'clock on Thursday. Well, as I mentioned, big win last night for Kansas. So many great things to break down, which we'll spend plenty of time with Coach Self doing just that when he comes in here in just a bit. But I know I talked with several folks walking in as I was passing out our questionnaire forms, and they all said, how about that Mitch Lightfoot? Wasn't he fun? And whether you prefer to call him Clutch Lightfoot like we do on the air or Prison Mitch or whatever the nickname is of choice, that guy played with passion and fire, and he comes in the ball game, he blocks 2 or 3 shots right away, he draws a charge for the 11th time on the season. This is the 2nd consecutive year he's led the team in charges drawn. And then he gave you a little bit of an offensive boost as well, 3 of 5 from the floor, including his first 3-point make of the year. Previously, he'd been 0 of 6 from beyond the arc, but he had a chance at the top of the circle, and he knocked it down. It was awesome. Mitch Lightfoot coming up in the clutch for Kansas last night. And great to see Dedrick Lawson get a 17th double-double on the year, 18 and 14 out of Dedrick. How good was he last night? 6 for 6 from the free throw line. When Kansas was down 5-0 early, they went to the big fella, and he got him going. And from there, they were off and running. But, of course, Devon Dotson also great with 16 points. And you add it all up, and the Jayhawks win it by a final of 64-49, something we will break down with Coach. You hear the cheers? Obviously, that means the man of the hour has made his way onto the stage. So we'll let him get situated, come back in just a second, and take your questions for Coach Bill Self. It's Hawk Talk, brought to you in part by Diagnostic Imaging Centers, centered on you. We're at Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence, 6th and Wakarusa. And for great local sports bars, visit one of Johnny's Tavern's 10 area locations. More coming up on the Equity Bank Jayhawk Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
When you believe, you inspire. When you love, you dream. When you breathe, you create. When you laugh, you cry. And when you're reliable, you trust. Capital Federal, predictably true blue.
When we were caregiving for Grandma and Grandpa in their room, they wanted a certain temperature, and you could regulate and keep their temperature in that room instead of all of us sweating bullets in the house.
Kate's servicemen really understood our needs. We spoke to them about the grandparents' room. They wanted that one room very, very warm, and they were able to accomplish that. We know when we walk in the door, the temperature's going to be right where we like it. So it's been wonderful having Kate's heating and cooling. We love it.
Diagnostic Imaging Centers has always been at the forefront of new technology, delivering innovative solutions to patients for more than 50 years, right here in Kansas City. From the bumps and bruises of childhood to the joys of starting your very own family and the peace of mind you get from a routine screening, Diagnostic Imaging Centers is building the future so you can focus on yours.
Here in Kansas, we're blessed with an abundance of oil and natural gas energy, as well as many other natural resources. Some folks say that producing oil and natural gas harms our farms and ranches.
The truth is, oil and gas leasing and production are vital to sustaining Kansas farms and ranches from one generation to the next. We work together, and over the past 40 years, there has not been a single instance of groundwater pollution from hydraulic fracturing or injection wells in Kansas by our industry. Get the facts at kansasstrong.com.
You may not hear it at first, but it's there. Our chant, rising. On this summit, callings converge, voices unify into a chorus that sounds out for good, for greatness. Can you hear it?
Lightfoot backing down on Wade, spins, goes up, gets the bucket to go, and the foul. A chance at a three-point play for Mitch Lightfoot. How about Mitch Lightfoot, and how about your Jayhawks taking down Kansas State in the Dillon Sunflower Showdown Series, 64-49. The Jayhawks winners now one game back of the Wildcats, half a game back of Texas Tech. Coach Self joins us now live at Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence. Coach, congrats on the win. That was a lot of fun last night.
It was more fun than Saturday.
Indeed.
So,
indeed.
It was.
I spoke to the turnaround a little bit, but you guys really had to regroup quickly, getting back as late as you did, and obviously you're a resilient bunch. But tell me about that quick 36 hours or so to get set for the Wildcats.
Well, there's really not much to tell. We got back, and the guys were probably back to the dorms, maybe by 2:10, something like that, and then I don't think that we lost any sleep that night, because I think between 8 and 10 we slept a couple hours, so we were probably caught up on that. But the reality of it is, it was a quick turnaround, and we also had a recruit in for an official visit. So, that also adds to what's going on with the players. And so, which really wasn't the best timing. You're like, well, why are we doing this? But it turned out to be great. Players all adjusted, and we actually had a good workout on Sunday. I planned on going for 30 minutes, and we ended up going for about an hour, but really hard, and experimented a lot on how to do some things, and then against K-State, and then had a great shoot around on Monday, and you could tell by Monday, Saturday was in the rearview mirror, so that was positive.
I was going to say, what was the vibe coming back from Lubbock, and then the determination you felt from them come Monday by the time it was time to tip it off with K-State?
I don't know. We were playing K-State, and we knew the game in Lubbock would be a really hard game, and we'd even told our players, that it was going to be very difficult, and we'd have to play, very, very, very well and everything. And, we got off to such a poor start. It was a lot like the Villanova game last year in the tournament. It's, we got hit in the mouth, and when we saw our own blood, we didn't react very well. And the thing about it is, it wasn't that we didn't try. We tried, but there's a difference between trying and competing and everybody being on the same page. And we kind of went to our own little island a little bit. But I never got upset in the game against Tech. I never lost it. I never did anything other than with about 12 minutes left is, well, how do we try to get to the finish line and get ready for K-State? I mean, I hate to say, that may be the first time I've ever coached that way, where, trying to do something in this particular game, no matter how hard you tried, if it takes energy, it's the wrong thing to do, because there wasn't enough time to come back in that particular game the way that they were playing and the way that we were playing. So we told them at halftime, hey, the first 8 minutes we got to make something happen really, really fast, or guys, we won't have enough time. And we didn't do it. We got it to 20. Oh, that sounds awful to say, but we got it to 20 and really didn't get any closer. So there was no reason to worry about that one anymore. It was just try to get ready to play K-State even when we were playing Texas Tech.
Rare set of circumstances that you'd be in that mode, but it was the right call, and you got some rest for a guy like Devon Dotson and Dedrick Lawson, and boy, did they ever come back on Monday in a big way. Let's transition more to Monday, though, and talk about that. We just heard the Mitch Lightfoot highlight coming back from break. I know you talked about it being perhaps the best game of his young career. Tell me what you like the most, because he did things on both ends of the floor that were just huge for you.
Well, I think there's a lot of things to like about Mitch, and I'm sure every Kansas fan feels the way I do about that. And I'm sure there's many out there that feel like he should play a lot more, and I'm not saying that's remotely inaccurate. But the thing that he did last night was the things that he is capable of doing every game, because he made one shot. And you'll say, no, he didn't score. No, they were layups, because he positioned himself to post to score close to the basket. And if you watched us a lot, Mitch has been a guy this year more so than in the past that has turned down opportunities to try to score. He didn't do that last night. He tried to score. And so that's a very big positive. And he's our best rim protector. We've known that all along. But he did an unbelievable job defending his man, playing him smart, staying down, not jumping at everything. And then he blocked shots from the weak side. And so that's what shot blockers do. And so I thought he played great. His energy was terrific. And, of course, I think when Mitch plays well and plays with that energy, it does something to our fans that some other players, when they do the same thing, they can't accomplish. Because I think he changes the mood in a building because of the way he plays. And so I thought he was absolutely terrific last night. And we needed him to be, considering, it was kind of a makeshift deal out there for a good part of the time, but he really sparked us the first half, and I thought he played great.
The way that he plays can ignite the building. I think his personality has something.
That's
to do
what I'm
with
saying.
That.
Yeah. It's the total package with Mitch. And that's why I love guys with personality so much, because he's got personality. Whether he's playing well or doesn't play well, he's got personality. I'll tell you, Mitch was playing so good. So we started him the second half, and it's their ball, side out, second half. We talked about how we're going to guard. We talked about this is what we're going to do the first defensive possession. This is what they're probably going to run. And Mitch is on the other end, and he's not guarding his man because not only did he think we were on offense, we were on offense at the wrong basket. and he looks at me, and I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, my bad, coach. But he was just so excited. I thought he was great, and I thought everybody contributed. You know, Charlie did some good things when he was in there. KJ did some nice things. David didn't get a chance to play because Mitch was so good last night, but he was fine. And I thought Marcus Garrett, guys, I mean, he's playing on one leg out there, folks, and he did a lot of things to help us win. And he was so important last night because Ochai had an off night. And so, you know, if you don't have Marcus Garrett, you know, where do you go if Ochai has an off night? And I think Ochai's earned the right to have a couple of nights where it hadn't gone his way because it's been so much so fast. You know, I think sometimes he may wake up in the morning and say, "Oh my gosh, is this really happening to me?" But I thought Mark was great, and then of course Diedrich was terrific. But that little guard and Quentin had a great game too. Played with great energy. But that little guard out front, that's a ball playing dude, and he was fabulous again.
That little guard would be Devon Dotson, and I referenced his stat line, but more importantly was the stat line of Barry Brown, whom he was guarding almost the whole night. 1 of 8 shooting for a guy that may have entered as the Big 12 frontrunner for Player of the Year. I don't know if he exited the building as such. You hold him to 4 points, 1 of 8 shooting. How great was Devon on Barry Brown?
He was, but when you say it like that, I think sometimes it makes it makes another player. Makes us look like the other player played poorly or something like that. I don't want to do that. Barry Brown, if they win the league, he should be Player of the Year in the league. If we win the league, Diedrich should be Player of the Year. If Iowa State wins the league, Shayat should be Player of the Year. If Tech wins the league, Culver should be Player of the Year. So that's how I feel in this particular year, where nobody's really put themselves above anybody else from a it's not like it was last year. It was Trae Young and Devontae hands down, and there's everybody else. This year it's more, a best player on the best team should probably win. At least that's how I feel. And so to me, he's a front runner, and we switched a lot. And he made the first basket of the game when Diedrich switched on him, which is fine. I mean, you got a big guy guarding the guard, and he kind of rocked him a little bit and made an 18-footer. And then he drove the slot one time on a player that wasn't Devon, and he got 2 free throws. Mm-hmm. He never scored a point with Devon when Devon guarded him. Now, does that mean that Devon really, really outplayed him? No. It means that he did a great job on him, and Barry also missed some shots that he normally makes that we got lucky on and that kind of stuff. But Devon did a really nice job on that, and our team defense was so much better than what it was, obviously, on Saturday.
Great breakdown, and I love what you said about who should win it if that particular team wins it. What if there's a 3-way tie, though? Who's Big 12 Player of the Year? Does the tie go to the runner in this case and go to the defending champion team?
No, I don't know. I don't know on that deal. There's still, even though it's coming to an end, there's still what's 3 out of 18. So there's still 15% of the season left, and so it'll be decided. I mean, somebody will definitely separate themselves in this next 3 weeks. But the bottom line is that we're not in a great position for Diedrich to win it, obviously, because we have to win out, and then we need help from somebody else, from multiple people to allow us to get a share of it. So I don't even think that that we should be thinking like that. But the reality is that at least we're in the game.
No doubt.
And if we hadn't won last night, we wouldn't have been in the game any longer.
We'll talk about Kansas being in the game, and I want to go back to what you started to touch on with Quentin Grimes when we come back as well. I'd love to have you elaborate on that when we return. Hawk Talk is sponsored by Delta Dental of Kansas. Protect your healthy smile. Learn more about individual and family plans at deltadentalks.com. And don't miss Jayhawk coverage on Xfinity X1 Channel 258. This week it's men's basketball on Saturday versus Oklahoma State, 10:30 a.m. on the pregame, 30 minutes prior to tip-off. More coming up live from our new home, Johnny's Tavern West Lawrence, on the Jayhawk Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Quentin Grimes receives a pass on the wing, hooks to Ochai. Abaji drives, flings to Dotson. Now to Grimes, a contested three is drilled. Quentin Grimes with his third three of the night. How about Q? 12 points for Kansas. The Jayhawks win at 64-49. Welcome back to Hawk Talk, live from Johnny's Tavern West Lawrence. Coach Bill Self is with us. You can call us up at 1-800-845-HAWK or text the show at 234-25-HAWKS. 234-25-HAWKS on the text line. We'll take some in-house audience questions here in just a second, but since we played that Quentin Grimes highlight, great to see him come through with a big performance, really one of his better games since maybe up in Ames or Lexington. Thoughts on what he was able to do last night and how he can build upon that going forward?
Well, I thought there was a big difference in Quentin last night, and it wasn't have anything to do with making shots. I thought he played with so much more energy and activity last night, and I thought his defense was good. And you worry about the right things, and all of a sudden you play better offensively. And I thought that he was really solid last night, really solid. The thing that I feel about Quentin, and is I see so much in him, but I also see that when things haven't gone as well, it has affected a little bit of a psyche from an energy standpoint. And so sometimes it's like he's trying hard, but he's trying hard at a job rather rather than trying hard at something you're really passionate about. And I thought last night, you know, and we've talked about this a lot, but with the whole team, but I thought last night Quentin, as much as anybody, played like he loved being out there and loved the game, and which I know he does, and everybody knows he does. But sometimes when things haven't gone well, it's a little bit hard to express that. And when you have that type of mindset, I think you play freer, and I also think you play with more energy. And to me, he looked more energetic last night, and he played 36 minutes.
Exactly.
But I thought he was really solid, really solid. It hasn't been easy, and everybody knows that. But it's not from a work ethic or preparation. And you know, if people knew how much time these kids spend on their own at 11 o'clock at night or 12 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock in the morning, shooting on their own and doing all these things, you would know that there's such a strong commitment. And certainly he is one of those guys. And so it was nice to see something like that happen last night. And even though it wasn't anything earth-shattering, but it was something that I think that could be a great springboard, moving forward.
Classic example of what you're talking about. You're up by 12 points inside the last 2 minutes, and he lays out on the court for a 50-50 ball.
Yeah, and he did. And there's a lot of you could point to a lot of things. K-State's really good, and they really guard. And it wasn't that they didn't guard us last night, and it certainly wasn't that we executed great against them. It's just that we brought a level of defense last night that we haven't been consistent in doing so. So in a game like Texas Tech and K-State, fans may not want to hear this. You play K-State and you give up you play with K-State or Texas Tech and you give up 80 points. It's not like you can't win, but your chances to win have been certainly diminished a little bit because nobody can score 80 points against them.
Right.
So you got to be as good as they are defensively in order to have a chance, because you're probably not going to be able to get to 75 or 80, especially on the road. And last night, we get to 64, and nobody's talking about how great our offense was clicking or anything like that. Everybody was talking about our defense, kept them down.
Right.
Because if K-State gets 75 on you, it's going to be hard to beat them because they don't give up 75. And that's the same thing with Tech. So we just kind of flipped the switch. The two best defensive teams in our league, we kind of flipped the switch and played the way that you have to play to win on Monday night compared to Saturday.
There's an old adage that defense will travel, effort will travel, but then again,
except to Lubbock. Lubbock, there's no way, there's no airport that you can get into Lubbock.
I can attest to that. Yeah. But even with that old adage, it goes without saying, when you've got 16,300 pumping you up, there's a little extra skip in your step. You won't have that when you go on the road. But what's the key to taking that defensive effort we saw last night and replicating that in places like Stillwater and Norman?
Well, it's energy. That there reaches a point in time, I think, with all good teams, and you can go back to the best teams that we've had since we've been here, that in the teams that that's been really good on the road. I think this is the only year that we've ever not had a winning record on the road in league play since we've been here. So the one thing that is, from a defensive standpoint, the energy and the fans and that the energy they create obviously can help you defensively. It can give you an extra boost or whatnot. But the teams that can really guard, it's our job. This is who we are. This is what we do.
Right.
And so even if it's not that turned up, whatever, it's one of the deals. You still fundamentally. Your rotations, by habit, you just do things that may not look quite as energetic, but the other team still can't get a great shot. They can't get a good look. And, if you go back and, even our national championship team or whatever, we were so much better defensively than offensively. And when we go to the finals in 12, we were so much better defensively than offensively. Last year was a rare exception. We were so much better offensively than we were defensively because we could just shoot the ball so well. But historically our teams have been able to, the defense has traveled, and with this particular team, it has not. And then when your defense isn't great, now that puts pressure on your offense being a little bit better. Right. And we're not going to be a terrific offensive team this year. We're not going to be. And that's not being remotely negative at all. It's just you look at the things that we do well and that we can control. We can control more things on the defensive end than we can the offensive end, whereas last year we could certainly control more on the offensive end. So that's not being negative about our team at all. I think Texas Tech and K-State would say the same thing. They were probably better on the defensive end, and the way you can kind of think about that, if you're up 1 or down 1, would you rather be up 1 and they have the ball, or down 1 and you have the ball? Mm-hmm. And I would say every team that we've ever had here say, put us on defense. Right. And I don't know that this team has really bought into that yet, but when it does, and we'll continue to improve on that end.
And that's why more than half of his teams in his first 15 years finished in the top 10 nationally in field goal percentage defense. It's always been a staple.
Not this year, though.
That's why I said first 15 years.
Yeah,
but year 17, we're going to get right back at it. Hey, let's get out to break with an audience question. I'm going to read our buddy Warren Corman's audience question first because he brought it from home. He typed it. He put a Jayhawk sticker on it. How about that? Can you see that on the cameras? You're the man, Warren. He even dated it. How about that? He says, is there any college coach in the country that has an unbeaten record at home, has lost his main post person for the season with an injury, has lost an important defender for weeks with an injury, has lost his main recruit for the entire season due to the NCAA, and has lost his only senior due to a leave of absence, has had to start 4 freshmen for most games, and is still in the running for the championship of the top-notch league? He says, I'm trying to think if there is such a person. Signed, Warren Corman.
Well, there is, and that person needs serious psychiatric help as well. So, people that don't know, Warren was one of the chief architects on the building of Allen Fieldhouse, and knows more about this place than anybody, and seen everybody come through. I'd say Warren and Max Falkenstein would probably know more about everything that's happened at KU. Well, Max would only know from a sporting standpoint. Warren knows from a sporting and from a university standpoint. But that's nice. But the reality is people deal with stuff all the time, and it drives me nuts. And Cindy and I have actually visited about this because she'll say, "But they're so young. But they're so young." And well, yeah, big deal. Yeah, they're young, but they're playing, and why wouldn't you play them if you don't think that they could deliver the goods? When Keith Langford played here, I don't know if you remember, but Keith had microfracture surgery going into his senior year, and he lost all his explosiveness and was out. I mean, he had lost a lot, and he was just totally out of it. But he kept trying to play, and I remember his mother saying to him and to me in the same conversation, "Son, if you're out there, you have to deliver. If you're not well enough to play, then don't be out there. But if you're out there, there's no excuse. You have to deliver." And I feel the same way about our guys. There's not an asterisk that says that this or that. It's just a bottom line business. Either you're successful or you're not. And so people that get hung up on, well, we lost because we didn't have this, or we didn't play as well because we didn't have that. I think, we don't want players to make excuses, so why should coaches make excuses too? We got, this is our team, and our team should be good enough to compete with anybody, and we expect them to. And I really feel that way. So it's been an interesting year from an adversity standpoint, but through adversity you can also get better, and development occurs in different ways. And so I'm not the least bit discouraged on where we're at. I'm probably a little bit more realistic to know that what my expectations are of our team are still that we do well and win every game. But the reality is our margin for error has been shrunk so much that if we're not, right on point, that when you play somebody really good and they're on point, it makes it a real hard game. And so that's I'm more realistic in that, but certainly not any more. But certainly nothing has changed at all with what expectations are as far as the ultimate result.
It's really well said. That's why we love this guy. We got the best one in the business. And I'll say this to Warren's comments as we get out to break. We're watching West Virginia right now, and I love Coach Huggins, future Hall of Famer. He's on the ballot this year. You love Coach Huggins. They've had similar personnel losses to what we've had in terms of the number of guys they've lost, and yet they've bottomed out. They're just a 2-win team in league play. We're really blessed that our guys were able to circle the wagons, rally the troops.
Yeah, but it's all, but that, that's also not fair too. And I hate to cut you off, but with Hugs, certain places have more margin for error than others, and so with Kansas, we have more margin for error because our players maybe 6 through 10 are different than maybe some places they are at other places, and so even though even though it is true, but when some people lose certain things, it's a little bit different than when other people lose certain things too. I think sometimes that we kind of get hung up. Well, it's not tit for tat, because each situation is a little bit different.
No doubt. Great point. They were picked third, though, and yet you've been able to keep
you got to get the last word.
No. I'll try to compliment you, Coach. I'll try to talk you up. Hey, we're going to get to more audience questions when we come back, I promise you. We're having a great time out here tonight at Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence. More coming up on the Jayhawks Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Diagnostic Imaging Centers has always been at the forefront of new technology, delivering innovative solutions to patients for more than 50 years, right here in Kansas City. From the bumps and bruises of childhood to the joys of starting your very own family and the peace of mind you get from a routine screening, Diagnostic Imaging Centers is building the future so you can focus on yours.
When you believe, you inspire. When you love, you dream. When you breathe, you create. When you laugh, you cry. And when you're reliable, you trust. Capital Federal, predictably true blue.
A smile, such a simple gesture, an effortless contraction of muscles, a flash of teeth. Healthy smiles have the power to spread joy, courage, and love. When you smile, it transforms you and the world around you. So if you feel the urge, go ahead and use that simple gesture to spread joy. Keep your smile healthy and strong. Choose Delta Dental for your individual or family plan, protecting more smiles than anyone.
Hello, Kansas. We're your energy industry. In the past, we've shown you beautiful slow-motion images of gorgeous Kansas sunsets, basketball games, and other images that promote our industry. But right now, it's important that you know the facts.
Like the fact that during the past 40 years, there has not been a single instance of groundwater pollution from hydraulic fracturing or injection wells in Kansas by our industry. We respect our state and its natural resources. Get the facts at kansasstrong.com.
Did you get your new Truity Visa card yet? You'll save money with 1.99 APR for 15 months. That's right, 1.99 APR with any new Truity Visa card. This rate's good on all purchases and cash advances for the first 15 months. What are you waiting for? Start saving money today. TruityCU.org/credit cards. With approved credit, come in or go online for details.
Charlie Moore at the top. Moore dribbling. Flings to Mitch. Mitch wants a three. He buried one. Mitch Lightfoot having the game of his life. And this joint is jumping in the fog. Boy, wasn't that fun last night? Mitch Lightfoot was doing it all. Even hit a three-pointer. As I referenced, he'd been 0 of 6 on the season prior to that make, but you knew he had it in him. He hit several a year ago, and a big three right there to help Kansas beat K-State 64-49. Welcome back to Hawk Talk. We're coming at you live tonight from Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence. You can watch a telecast replay of Bill Self's Hawk Talk show on 38 The Spot, Spectrum Sports, Cox Cable, Midcoast Sports Network, ESPN+, and others across the state. Check your local listings for availability, and for TV times, visit KUathletics.com/TV. And did you hear your boss is getting a Hawk Talk show now? We got the head Hawk with us tonight, Jeff Long. He's somewhere in the crowd. He just walked by. His Hawk Talk debut coming up at Old Chicago is going to be on Thursday night at 7 o'clock. So make sure you tune in for that on Thursday at 7.
I'm not familiar with this. What's happening?
It's a new Hawk Talk with Jeff Long.
Okay.
5 episodes over the next 5 months.
The head Hawk Talk.
The head Hawk Talk, exactly.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So
we'll have fun with that. And we're not going to spin the wheel with him. We've got a different contest lined up just for him.
Okay.
But stay tuned. Your chance to spin the wheel is coming up in about 5 minutes. Let's get to some more audience questions. Warren let us off with a good one right there. How about this? This has been in the news of late, a proposal we've got to talk to you about. What's your thought for eliminating the NBA one-and-done rule? Will eliminating the rule help the game of college basketball?
I'm for eliminating the rule. And you know what? I'm a little bit off on this. I thought that was what had been proposed that was going to happen, going back several months, that we were going to eliminate more than likely the one and done. And so this is basically, I guess, kind of reinforce that where kids can go. But I'm a big believer that you shouldn't do anything to stand in the way of opportunity, and especially when there's so much financial windfall that could potentially occur with this. And would it be good for the college game? And everybody asks these questions, and then you think about, well, how much would it potentially hurt a family if a youngster has opportunities to do something and that's taken away due to health or whatever it is. And so I think it's absolutely wrong that there is limitations on kids being out and going out and make a living. You see kids that leave high school that can go be a musician, or kids that are in college that leave early to go, live in the tech world or whatever, and you got kids that are actually their age that are old enough to go represent our country and fight for our country, but a kid can't play basketball. And I've never understood that. But the negative with that is there's got to be some safeguards in there that try to eliminate the risk of so many poor decisions that are going to be made because of it. And I think there will be some, but the reality of it is it's very, very difficult to be objective about yourself, or to have a parent or a loved one be objective about you, where they see you and what you can do. And so I think a lot of times decisions are made with the thinking that maybe they could be something that they're not ready to be yet, and then that can certainly derail a career quickly. So hopefully there'll be some safeguards put in there to protect against that, which I think there will be.
I would agree. Jackie, thanks for the question. We appreciate that. All right, Cheryl's got a question. How did Ochai Agbaji almost slip through the cracks from all of the local schools? She says, I sure am glad we have him.
Oh, yeah, I am too. And he did not slip through the cracks. I don't know if K-State and Wichita State and Missouri were coming after him. I don't know that for a fact. I know that there was interest from those places, but I don't know what priority they put on that. But I mean, it wasn't like Wisconsin's got a good program. I mean, they're recruiting him. Oregon State or Colorado State, he was being under recruited in large part because he just hadn't been seen much, and that's not totally unusual for those things to happen. It's just not very common to have a youngster blow up like he's blown up on the scene in a short amount of time. So, but recruiting is an inexact science, and so much recruiting, like you walk into the gym and you see Wiggs or Joel, it really doesn't take a keen eye to say, you know what, I think they might could help us a little bit.
Right.
But guys like Oach, that's where real recruiting, and part of recruiting, a huge part of it's evaluating and projecting, and being able to see what could potentially be down the road and how he could blend in and fit in, I think is a real talent, and certainly we got fortunate, very, very fortunate with that one, but we've had a lot of guys like Ochai. I mean, that you think are, if they sign with Kansas, I think so many times our fans think, well, they must be all this and all that, and you know, Ochai wasn't really highly recruited, but even guys like Travis Relaford, that, you know, they're really good high school players, but I don't think that, you know, we didn't have to beat Duke and Kentucky to get a lot of the guys that we got, and, you know, give credit to them as they worked hard and they got a lot better.
He's been a great story, and the best part is we're just 1 or 2 chapters in. Cheryl, thanks for the question. We really appreciate it. We got to get out to another timeout. When we come back, we'll spin the wheel. More great in-house audience questions. We'll check the text line as well, 234-25 Hawks. More Hawk Talk coming up from Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence on the Equity Bank Jayhawk Sports Network from Learfield, IMG College. Rebound kept alive by Lawson, though. He tipped it to himself. Lobs to Dotson. He'll try a three and make a three. Devon Dotson from downtown, and the Jayhawk lead is 13. More highlights from last night's big win in the Dillon Sunflower Showdown. 64-49. The Jayhawks come away with the victory. We had an in-house audience question asking specifically about Devon and how does he compare to Frank Mason and Devontae Graham. You've been through a little bit of the comparisons already with him, but what about specific to your last 2 point guards?
Well, I think at the same stage, I would say that Devon is you know, ahead of both those guys at the same stage. And he's getting better all the time. But there's a lot of things that he knows a lot of things he's got to do to improve in order to manage a game and be a closer and all these things. But he's doing fantastic. Now the difference is I think he's well ahead of those two at the same stage. But those two improved dramatically quickly after their freshman year, and it still remains to be seen, you know, how that will occur with Devon. But from a attitude and from a work ethic and a toughness standpoint, I don't think he can help but get better.
Annette, thanks for the question. We appreciate that. I love this next question from Tim, who's with us tonight. He says, what's the best advice from another coach you've ever received, and who was it from?
Well, I've gotten advice from a lot of coaches, you know, over the years. I would say that the biggest thing is be true to who you are. It's one thing to there's a lot of great coaches out there, and many of the great coaches, we don't look at great coaches because they're at places that can't recruit as good of players as what you can recruit at other places. But you have to coach within who you are and your personality, and I think that's the biggest thing. And I think sometimes when you're struggling with teams, I think sometimes you want to possibly compromise what you think is best in order to make it easier on them. And I think that's an absolutely inaccurate way to conduct your business. And I think that many coaches have told me that over the years, that to win over time, you can't compromise what you actually believe in. And certainly, although every coach struggles with that at some point in time, every coach does, because the easy way out a lot of times to help that particular moment is maybe to do that, and then you'll regret it later on, because now something that you believe in your heart is what actually works and wins. You've compromised that, and now it's hard to get that back sometimes.
Great answer, Tim. Excellent question. We appreciate that. All right, here's a fun one real quickly. If Bill Self, the college player, at his best, went up against Greg Gurley, the college player, at his best, how would it have played out?
Well, it would have finished maybe 0-0. Neither one would have scored.
Suffocating defense.
I don't know if you know this, but Greg's a pretty easy target to make fun of every now and then. But the reality of it is, Greg was a much better athlete and a better player. I would say not near smart, but he was a better player. I recruited Greg pretty hard to Oklahoma State. Obviously we had no shot, but I was an assistant at Oklahoma State and recruited hard, been in his home. His mother, Carol, still to this day, about once a year, makes me cookies.
Really?
And whenever KU played at Oklahoma State, she brought me cookies every year and stuff. So I've maintained a relationship with them, even if it's distant for a long time. But,
sure.
But no, Greg was a much better player. But I know he's probably listening, and it pains me to ever say anything very nice about him. But he was a better athlete.
But maybe you were the head of your players. So in a game of one-on-one, who knows? You take the right angles.
Oh no, I was much smarter than Greg.
Yeah.
No, much smarter. No.
All right, great question. Thanks a lot for that, Ted. Okay, let's spin the wheel, our new tradition here on Hawk Talk. We hope you've enjoyed this season. 3 episodes left, still 14 spots on the board. Coach, give it a spin. Tonight we will hear from a player from the Self era, one of your own. Let's take a listen in from the Self era.
Hey, Coach. It's Tyrell Reed. Now that I'm a physical therapist, I deal with a lot of injuries, and I know you were a pretty soft basketball player when you were playing, but my question is, what was the worst injury you had to deal with when you were playing?
Well,
there's that 4-letter word again that Fran Fraschilla was talking about, soft.
The word, I think, I broke my left hand. That was one. That was pretty bad. I had some minor knee damage. I've had microfracture surgery and stuff like that, but not while I was playing. But I was pretty fortunate on the injuries aspect. But my things that I had were not things that would keep me out for more than a month or something like that. So I was pretty fortunate on that front. And isn't it crazy? Tyrell, when he first came to Kansas, he's from Burlington, obviously, and people know that. But he's such a pleaser, and he wanted to do everything perfect all the time, and nobody is. But he wanted to do that. But since he talked trash on me about being soft, I'll tell you that we called him High School Hondo. That was his nickname his first 2 years here, because if anybody ever goes back and watched, he dribbled the ball in place the whole. As soon as you threw it to him, he'd just start dribbling, and he'd dribble it 10 times before he'd ever pass it. And so we called him High School Hondo because that's all he did, just dribble in place and not know what to do. But in the Final Four, we're playing Carolina. And we got the game locked up, and it's the last possession, and I'm on him all the time about he does this and he doesn't even know he's doing it and this and this. And then the Final Four, he dribbled the ball 17 times in a space of 4 feet and never left that 4 feet in a Final Four game. So he's got that going for him too.
I love it.
But isn't it great though? Your players, leave and obviously he's a physical therapist and he's smarter than anybody around, and people forget what a great player he was, but he's also first-team academic All-American and about as good a guy and as good a teammate as you could ever have. The
winningest player in KU basketball history in terms of wins.
At one time, if his last game, which was unfortunately a lot of guys' last game that had great careers for us, whether it be Brady or whether it be the Twins, but his last game was against VCU. And if we'd have won that game against VCU, put him in the Final Four, he would have tied Shane Battier as the winningest player in the history of college basketball.
How about that?
And so we came up a game short for him. And since then, I think Jalen Brunson has become that. I think Jalen Brunson is now, but that would have been something that he would have. I mean, that would have meant so much to him, and we came up a game short.
Not bad for High School Hondo.
High School Hondo made it big. Yeah.
We'll wrap up the show right after this on the Equity Bank Jayhawks Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
When we were caregiving for Grandma and Grandpa in their room, they wanted a certain temperature, and you could regulate and keep their temperature in that room instead of all of us sweating bullets in the house.
Kate's servicemen really understood our needs. We spoke to them about the grandparents' room. They wanted that one room very, very warm, and they were able to accomplish that. We know when we walk in the door, the temperature's going to be right where we like it. So it's been wonderful having Kate's heating and cooling. We love it.
You may not hear it at first, but it's there. Our chant, rising. On this summit, callings converge, voices unify into a chorus that sounds out for good, for greatness. Can you hear it?
Hi.
I'm not letting you in. No more apps.
But I can let you gain Kansas lottery points. Enter second chance drawings, win more. Points can go to any prize you want.
Any prize?
Yeah. Play on, man.
Okay, you can come in. But don't ask me to update you right away.
I mean, we hardly know each other.
Oh, right.
With the Play On app, you can gain more points and win more. See kslottery.com for details.
Drives, picks up his dribble. Not to Diedrich, but 10 to shoot. Tried to lob it into Mitch, but it was batted back to him. Now Diedrich, a long two-pointer, swished home. 2 more for Lawson. He's got 18 and 14 here tonight. More highlights from last night's big win in the Dillon Sunflower Showdown, 64-49. All right, Linda's with us tonight, and she wanted to know, you mentioned TCU is going to be your favorite team. Why? Obviously, they get to host both Texas Tech and Kansas State down the stretch, but expand on your thoughts on these next 12 days or so and what it could look like.
Well, all we should really worry about is what it looks like for us,
sure.
Because we can't control anything else. But we got to go to Oklahoma a couple of times and Stillwater and Norman and then get Baylor Bears on the last game of the regular season. But it's going to be interesting. It's 12 days or what is it, about 12 days
roughly, yeah.
That we if we're going to have aspirations, which we do, of winning the league, then we our only chance is to win out. So and we've been obviously we're 2-5 on the road in league, so we're going to have to go play better than what we have. But certainly, when you say TCU is my next favorite team, that was only because I believe they play, if I'm not mistaken, they host both Tech and K-State.
Correct.
So they're the one team with the common denominator of playing both those guys.
Tech also plays at Iowa State at the exact same time as the Kansas-Baylor game on the final day of the regular season.
Well, hopefully it'll mean something.
Exactly.
Hopefully it'll mean something.
Exactly.
So.
No doubt. Well, Coach, as always, we appreciate the time. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
That's head coach Bill Self. That's Hawk Talk for tonight. Thanks to our awesome crowd out here at Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence. We invite you to tune in on Saturday morning, 9:30 on the Crimson and Blue Show, 11 o'clock on the tip-off. Coach heads back to his old stomping grounds in Stillwater as the Jayhawks take on Oklahoma State. For Alex Birch, our producer, Steve Kincaid, our engineer, and head coach Bill Self, I'm Brian Haney. So long from Hawk Talk on the Jayhawk Network.
You've been listening to Hawk Talk with Bill Self on the Jayhawk IMG Sports Network. Tune in each week to get the latest on Jayhawk basketball from the head coach, Bill Self. Tonight's edition of Hawk Talk has been presented by Boulevard Brewing Company, local since 1989. Capital Federal Savings, celebrating 125 years. By Johnny's Tavern, serving up tradition since 1953 in Lawrence and Kansas City area. And by Intrust Bank, proud supporter of Kansas athletics. Hawk Talk with Bill Self is an exclusive presentation of IMG, America's home for college sports.